As software engineers, we're all too familiar with the interview process, from coding challenges and recruiter screens to on-site technical rounds. It's structured and it's repeatable. So, what if a workflow could manage the entire thing, from generating leak code style questions to scoring answers, giving feedback, and even sending the thank you email at the end? Large language models are smart, but how do you actually get them to do stuff and do it reliably? The answer is workflow orchestration powered by Orkes Conductor. In this video, I'll show you how to build an Agentic interview application, a system that mimics a human-led technical software engineering interview using OpenAI, Google Docs, and SendGrid, all tied together by Orkes Conductor for orchestration. We'll walk through how you can design a workflow that makes decisions, loops over coding questions, evaluates answers, and handles all the tooling automatically. So I'm going to be taking you guys through a quick setup process of how to install your Interview Agentic app. Our Interview Agentic app is located at Conductor OSS at the Awesome Conductor apps repo. This is now the README page, and once you're here, you first want to create an Orkes Cloud developer account and obtain your application key and secret. You then want to install several key and secrets for third-party applications. First, starting off with OpenAI, then Google Authentication Credentials for Google Drive and Google Docs. You can either set up the local and prod process or local only. Both will work. And finally, you want to set up the SendGrid API key for emails. After you set up those environmental variables, you're now ready to start running the servers. First off with the backend server to set up those routes and the workflow triggers, and finally the UI for the front-end server. And once you have both of those up and spinning, you're now ready to start your software engineering interview. So now that we have our backend and front-end UI up and running, we're going to begin our interview. And it first prompts us with our asking for our name and our preferred programming language below. Let's say we provide our name and we forget to provide our language. It's able to, behind the scenes, recognize that our input is incorrect, and we're going to be reprompted to provide our input. In this case, we're going to provide Python. And now we're going to be prompted about another question about providing our email address. So let's provide our email address, and let's begin the interview. We're going to be prompted with our very first question, generated as a leak code style question. So the question is called max subarray sum. So in this case, let's say we are stuck and we're not sure how to solve this problem. Stuck, can I get a hint? And the workflow is able to, behind the scenes, classify this as a hint, simplification, or whether you've actually solved the problem successfully. So in this case, it provides us with a hint about using two variables and iterating through the array. So let's use this hint to actually solve the problem at hand. Let's say we have solved it behind the scenes, and we're going to copy and paste our code to solve the problem. And now our workflow is able to recognize that we've solved it and moved on to the next question. There's a total of 3 questions available for this interview during a 45-minute time period. So our second question is now a popular problem in leak code called 3-sum. And I believe my approach from before, let's suggest an approach we are going to tackle for this problem. Let's suggest a 2-pointer approach and pre-sorting the array. Let's see what our agent is now able to provide us, whether it's a hint or a simplification. It provides us a hint saying that we are on the right track and some additional things to consider. And now let's provide our solution in code in Python. And now we're giving a final leak code style question. And this question is about max subarray sum. And in this case, let's just say we have solved it initially, and we will just provide our code below. And now that we've successfully solved all 3 questions within a 45-minute time period, we have actually completed the interview successfully, and we should be given certain results. We have successfully solved the coding challenge, and thank you for our time, and we will be in contact shortly. So if you actually look behind the scenes after the interview, we're going to be given 2 separate emails. So I'm going to check my inbox. So after our interview process is complete, we are actually going to be sent 2 separate emails from our agentic workflow. The first email is a thank you email, which is very personalized to the actual user. You can see the name here, and tells us how we appreciate your time for your interview process here at Orkes. And what's special about this interview process, because it's completely automated, we're actually able to provide a scorecard summary, which grades your performance on the 3 separate interview questions out of 5, with the total high score of 30 and your lowest score as well, and a complete average of your performance overall. It also provides key strengths and also areas for improvement listed here below, and signed off by our senior talent recruiter, John Doe. On the other hand, we're also sent a separate email, which has our interview transcript, which essentially is a live play-by-play of our interview process between the interviewer and the interviewee. As you can see here, this interview process essentially shows kind of that play-by-play process as an interviewer versus the candidate. In this case, the interviewer was the agentic workflow and the agents, whereas the role for the candidate is ourselves. And you can see this according to the messages and the timestamps below. You can see this is where the first question began. This is where the second question began. And finally, this is where that final question began, and the interview terminates at the very end. So this is all completely saved behind the scenes. This is useful because, for example, if you're a recruiter and this entire process was automated, and in case you wanted to reference back to the actual interview process, you have a live play-by-play here, all recorded as a Google Doc for your reference in the future. So how exactly is our interview agentic workflow powered behind the scenes? Well, it's using an Orkes Conductor workflow, as you can see here. And to walk you through this, the first step is basically this do-while loop, which is querying, as you can see from before, our name and our programming language at hand. And it's able to store this within a do-while loop to evaluate whether our input is correct. And from there, we're able to now query the user for their email address to send our thank you email and our transcript email at the very end. Once again, it has that same kind of do-while agentic nature, which is able to use an LLM to evaluate whether our input is valid. From there, we are now able to move on to the core interview process. As you can see here, there are 3 different branches which correspond to the 3 separate interview questions. As you can see here, this is our core interview loop, which is a sub-workflow. And now sharing my screen on our core interview loop, this is triggered 3 times during a 45-minute window. And here we're able to first generate our question using an LLM prompt template to create that question. From there, we're able to now use a do-while loop to store and evaluate the user's response. So here we're able to obtain, using a wait task, the interviewee's response. And from here, we're able to evaluate that response and classify it across 3 separate categories. You've solved the problem successfully, you need a hint, or you need a simplification. From those 3 separate branches, we basically re-trigger the workflow and re-trigger the do-while loop and keep running until we've terminated the loop, which is either in 2 cases, you've reached 45 minutes or you've successfully solved the problem. From there, we're able to return to our primary workflow. And once we've solved all 3 questions, we can concatenate all that information together. And we've now reached this relevant fork and join. First, on the left side, we are generating a thank you email, which is as noted by the SendGrid HTTP task. And on the right-hand side, for this task workflow, we're creating our Google Doc and Google Drive using the Google Drive API to generate a transcript email and a Google Doc transcript. And this is done using a simple worker. So once those 2 emails are sent, we terminate our workflow, and our workflow is entirely complete. So after going through our README setup process to integrate with third parties, going through a live demo of our software engineering interview, and peeling back the curtain to see how our workflow orchestration works behind the scenes at Orkes Conductor, you've just fully built a fully AI-powered interview agentic workflow, from intake to evaluation to report delivery. You can feel free to extend this workflow to behavioral interviews, design questions, or even integrate with your own personalized UI as well. Try it out at our developer playground, see the link in the description below, And feel free to check out more of our applications and sample workflows at Awesome Conductor Apps at Conductor OSS at github.com. And to connect with our community, check us out at community.orkes.io to join our discourse and be a part of the conversation. Thanks for watching, and check out our other videos on YouTube to learn more about how to use Orkes Conductor.